In letter number 10, we discover that the patient has made some new friends, and Screwtape is delighted by these new friends. They're described as worldly, smart, rich, superficially intellectual, vaguely pacifist, but just from snobbery and a kind of dash of literary communism. These are exactly the kind of people that Screwtape wants this relatively new and largely unguided Christian to be around. Now, a word about worldliness. We've seen this before when Screwtape was talking about having a contented worldliness. And again, by worldliness, we don't mean necessarily wealth or having a big house, having a nice car. Worldliness can mean an excessive love of things in the world beyond material things. So a love of human respect, a love of fame or power, a desire to be seen as intelligent or wise, with it, in the know. Those are all things that can be very worldly, even if they aren't accompanied by wealth and comfort and pleasure. In the case of these worldly friends, they've apparently got it all. They're materially well off. They live a very lavish and very comfortable lifestyle. But what characterizes them is a kind of sophistication, a kind of looking smarter, better, as well as classier than the people around them. One of the things that I think is hard to accept as you're reading the letter, or at least hard for a number of readers, is the fact that to be a spiritual person means that there are going to be certain people who are not good for you to hang around. I think as spiritual people, as Christian people, you want to think that you can hang around all sorts of different people and somehow it doesn't affect you. But obviously what Screwtape is insinuating here, and at times says quite openly, is that who you hang around shapes you, forms you. And they can be shaping you and forming you in ways of which you're not even aware. There are ways by signs and by looks that somehow you can be consenting to things they say and views they have, even though on the inside you may think that you're standing against it or you're opposed to it. That somehow it's just enough for you to be a person of faith around them, and that's enough. The fact is that human beings influence each other, that the friends you have in some way make you like them, just as you being around them makes them a little like you. Note also that when Lewis is, again, drawing us to this worldliness, that he's reminding us that it's not enough to have a Christianity that's against materialism. And materialism not in the sense of denying that they're spirits, but not the way we use the word materialistic, being greedy, wanting a lot of possessions, having a kind of a consumer outlook. This is something that is certainly required in the Christian faith, that we don't have an excessive love of money, of material comfort. Yet we have to recognize that the world is bigger than that. Fame and power, human respect, political or social correctness, conformities to fashion. These are all things that don't necessarily involve money. They don't necessarily involve a kind of standard of living. They can just involve the way that we act and the kind of opinions we hold and the kind of status that we seek through all those things. So Screwtape will talk about how it is that in the old days there used to be these sermons that addressed worldliness, that addressed worldly vanities, choice of friends, value of time. Nowadays, all that you hear about are sermons on mammon, that is, wealth and the excessive love of money. And quite frankly, I don't know that things are much different from the time that C.S. Lewis was writing this in the 40s. I think many Christians have the experience of hearing about an excessive love of money, but they tend not on the other side to hear about these very things that used to be more common as part of Christian preaching. What friends do you choose? What kind of emphasis or priority do you put on conformity to fashion and on the opinions of the world? What sense do you have of the value of time? Do you waste time in amusements that would be better spent in developing and nourishing your spiritual life. Well, what are the strategies that Screwtape seems to be recommending? First, you don't want this guy to notice. You don't want the patient to notice how bad these people are when he's with them, only when they're gone, as if somehow their very presence excuses and distracts him from the influence that they're actually having on his life. Another strategy, have him lead a parallel life. Have him lead a Christian life over here and a worldly life over here, so that he's compartmentalizing his life. And that, in fact, we don't really even have to have very worldly friends to fall into this, but it's very easy to compartmentalize life in ways in which here is my professional life, here is my relationship life, here is my Christian life. But clearly what a commitment to Christ means is that our faith life permeates all aspects, whether it's professional, relationship, or anything else. One of the, to my mind, crowning strategies and ingenious strategies that Screwtape recommends is not only to have this guy lead a parallel life, but to actually get him delight in this parallel life. That what happens is that he's got two sets of people that now he's simultaneously looking down on and simultaneously treacherous to. So when he's with his worldly friends, he laughs and carries on with them, at the same time thinking they don't have the kind of spiritual depth that I do. Then Sunday morning, when he goes to church, he hangs out with his Christian friends, and now he says to himself, they don't have the kind of worldliness and insight and class and quick wit that I have and experience, with my worldly friends. In other words, he can look down on both sets of people, and what that's going to do is inflate his pride. He's somehow, as Screwtape puts it, the well-rounded man who can see beyond them all. So these strategies are really something that use this guy's social life to bit by bit make his spiritual life weaker, watered down, and so that he does not anymore have the full commitment that he did when he first converted. Well, in our next letter, we'll see how it is that Screwtape can even use humor and laughter as a means for corrupting the patient.